Did we lose power? I think we lost power. My burner's down. The big thing, I think, as a security person is you can't panic, because if you're panicking, everyone else is going to panic. And so for me, it's always been a superpower of being like, yeah, if these things are happening, fantastic, let's work through them.
The customer doesn't know what they need. And I think that that's like a terrible philosophy in security.
My foundational moment probably started at the age of 70 with a Commodore 64. My dad purchased that. He didn't want to use it. He just gave it to me and said, you figure this out. And that probably was the actual moment everything changed for me with technology.
A lot of what we do at the CyberNest is actually reversing that model. We empower IT and security leaders to share their knowledge, do it in a way that they have autonomy over.
Models have gotten so good that I think we're past the place of augmented engineering, and some engineers are fully augmented, not just halfway, but they're fully into the idea of that human in the loop.
We had a website that was custom developed, and every change was a 3, 4, 5 day cycle in some cases. Now giving tools to business leaders who can do that much quicker.
The big quote that always kind of rattles in my brain: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
You're an enabler, and the organization understands how security is adopted. Is that what success looks like? It's trust. It's trust from people who've done the work, who've seen it work.
What just happened?
An event, an incident, we don't know. Everything just went off.
We totally had an incident.
Honestly, you need strong leadership in the kitchens. Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with CISOs. I'm your host today. My name is Ben Siegel. I'm an executive producer of this show and the founder and CEO of the CyberNest. The CyberNest is where IT and security leaders share their domain knowledge and lived experience to help their peers and technology vendors make better decisions. We do that from a community-driven knowledge sharing platform and an expert network for advisory and research studies. I'm here with Ty Sbano. Ty, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ben.
Ty, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Ty Sbano. I'm currently Chief Information Security Officer at Webflow. I've been a CISO now 3 times. And so with that, prior with Vercel, and before that with Sisense and Periscope Data. The first start of my career was really around application security. And so I had a chance to work for some amazing publicly traded companies, JP Chase, Capital One, Target. And what ultimately brought me out here to California was Lending Club. And through those experiences and through a bunch of amazing leaders and some CISOs, I got the confidence that I wanted to do this job for small to medium businesses. I've been able to join some mid-stage and late-stage companies to really build security into the organization, and it's been truly exciting and rewarding.
Amazing. Well, it's a real pleasure to have you. So we're going to cover a lot today. We're going to jump into cooking. One exciting thing is that Cooking with CISO's website is built on Webflow. So
I love hearing it. I've also heard that you have another website built on what?
Vercel.
Fantastic. Double win.
So we have the digital defender who secures that infrastructure. And so we thank you, Ty.
I feel very confident that you've chosen the right platforms to secure your brand and bring in CISOs, and they're confident that their profiles, their images, their videos are in a good place.
So cool. Okay, so what are we cooking today?
Well, I think you're cooking and I'm cooking, so this is very exciting. I'm going to be cooking Japanese curry, which is inspired by my grandmother. She's currently 96, coming up on 97. And she's the only grandparent that actually spent time with me in the kitchen. My Italian grandmother, on the other hand, do we have a big wooden spoon? Something to this effect: if you would hang out in the kitchen too long, she'd take this out and she'd say, "Get out of my kitchen," especially if she was cooking sauce all day. So she never shared her secrets before she passed, but my Japanese grandmother really took the time, especially when I asked the right questions, to share the knowledge of all the dishes that she made that I loved. And this is one of those that I've been able to share with friends, family, and a lot of folks along the way. And a lot of people want a second bowl after they have the first.
Yeah. So that's why we do the show, because you get personal stories, unique tidbits, things that are personal to the guests. So I'm going to cook a signature dish too, because
Which cooking?
I am cooking chicken Cacciatore. This is a dish that my wife cooked for me for the first time, a dish that she learned from her grandmother. They are from Salerno. This is a dish that's very simple. It doesn't have mushrooms or red wine or anything like that. It just has carrots and celery and onions and chicken broth.
Fantastic.
All right, so what are we doing next?
Do you call that trio right there the Holy Trinity as well?
Yes, so I've already prepped our carrots, our onions, our celery, make my life a little easier. And I told Ty, I'm like, I have carrots for you. And he's like, those are way too small. So This is the important part. You have to do the dish how you make it. I'm gonna get my vegetables cooking in olive oil, get that slow cook down. So we're gonna heat this up and we'll get into it.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you're an IT or security leader, we'd love to welcome you to the CyberNest Expert Network. Experts receive opportunities to participate in research and advisory engagements where you can share your expertise, influence the products and strategies shaping the industry, and bring the practitioner voice directly into the conversation. For your time and expertise, you'll receive a professional honorarium or have the option to donate it to a charity of your choice. There's no cost to join, no minimum time commitment, and you choose the opportunities that are relevant to you. Join us and help shape the future of cybersecurity. Now back to Cooking with Ty.
Fake it till you make it. It's not actually true. I think you have to fake it until you become it.
One of the things about my dish that I think is actually interesting, and it's actually personal to me, is my wife was the first person who told me that I was kind of good at cooking. So for me, that kind of got me into cooking. Cool. One of the questions I had for you, Ty, was there someone in your career or a moment in time in your career that gave you confidence that, like, I'm really good at this, I can do this, I'm a great CISO or security practitioner?
I think it started very early on, probably my first job as a consultant, where it was more the opposite. It's like, I'm not very good at this, but here's the reality. Most consultants aren't really good at it, but you keep doing it until you become it. And so I really don't love the thing that I hear in San Francisco a lot, which is fake it till you make it. It's not actually true. I think you have to fake it until you become it. So it's self-actualization and understanding that, like, what I've done, what I can do, what I believe I'm good at. I've actually had the practice, I've had the time. And you just have to show up, act like you've been there before, and just do it. And I think the more you do that, the more confident you become. So same thing with cooking.
You work across financial services, banking, high tech, retail. How did those experiences kind of change how you think about leadership or prepare you for the role?
I think leadership is always different in every environment. I think a big part is understanding the dynamics of the team and how to get action or something done. You have to figure out how things move in a company. And so that's a big part of how I kind of look at the organization of who are my partners, who are my change leaders, who are my avoiders, or who's the biggest antagonist, and are they the ones that are going to lead you to a breach? And so you're looking at the map of when can things go wrong? What is the likelihood of it going wrong? And I think I learned a lot of that through financial services and just trying to quantify risk. And so it's not the sky's falling, fix everything. These are risk-based decisions. These are business decisions. If we want to fix it, great. If we want to patch it, fantastic. If we don't, okay. But I think a big part of it is making sure people understand what are the risks that we really care about them and align them on for change.
Well, you've obviously stayed in high tech. Why high tech over staying in financial services or retail? Or
I have like early days of anyone's career, gas station attendant, dishwasher, all these little things where technology is not infused and you're just manually doing stuff, hoping that it gets better. Well, and I think that's the thing of high tech, where you get a chance to actually make things better. And it's not just because of hard sweat equity. It's about intelligence and who you bring in, how you level it up. And sometimes recognizing I'm not good at cutting carrots, so I'm going to bring someone else in to do it. Yeah, those are situations that I think you have a chance in technology companies where people also see this matrix with, and that way it's not just continuous manual effort that and you hope that it's even better. There is no single source of truth, and your network of trusted individuals is actually where you get a lot of your reality.
my first job was I was working in a sandwich and salad place called Dean DeLuca. I grew up in Kansas City, and this was like the place to go. You wear a chef's coat. I was creative. I got to taste food. But then I was working for Gartner for 6 years, and that was kind of my first entry point into research or advisory. And tech before that was doing early stage startups, was a generalist for a healthcare accelerator in New York City, incubating 12 different startups. And I was like doing everything from sales to marketing to anything. And then left Gartner to start this company, the CyberNest.
So that really gave you the inspiration to build out your own thing.
The model is very interesting. Traditional research firms, they take private data, private conversations, talk to buyers and sellers, and then they come to the market and they're like, we're the single source of truth. This is what we believe. I felt a little bit that model cut out the security leaders and IT leaders that, shared that information. One, out of the economic part of it, but secondarily, didn't give the personalized insight because you're kind of getting it as a general view. and it's gone through so many deductions. For a lot of our clients, the challenge was, okay, what does this mean for my business and my technology and my infrastructure? You can't get personalized insight in that way. And so a lot of what we do at the CyberNest is actually reversing that model. So we empower IT and security leaders to share their knowledge, do it in a way that they have autonomy over, make a direct connection to other security practitioners or the technology vendors who need that type of data, but want to be in control of how they ask the questions. So we started with about 100 security leaders, launched the platform. We now have 1,000 security leaders on it. Very cool. The core business is an expert network. And then we bring research studies and advisory opportunities where they can share that knowledge and get a peer benchmarking report so that they're a part of it. And they kind of can learn how other security leaders, IT leaders are thinking about the problem. That brought us into this new format, which is how do we showcase security leaders in a way that's human and authentic, where you can share your lived experience and do it in a format that, can reach more people. That's a little bit about how we started the company.
Very inspirational, and you unlock a lot of the truth, which is there is no single source of truth, and your network of trusted individuals is actually where you get a lot of your reality.
Exactly. You think about 5-10 years from now, there'll be less single institutions that control the knowledge model. We're seeing a lot of that with different expert networks that give people the tools to share their knowledge and be a part of the value creation versus just being a data point, and they don't know where that data point sort of goes.
Models have gotten so good that I think we're past the place of augmented engineering.
The hot topic in the room is AI. Ty, how are you thinking about AI, securing AI or AI native or embedded solutions?
I think there's multiple ways to look at it. I think of 3 specific paradigm shifts that we're looking at. The first one being like direct native AI, trusting those models or trusting that they're building in security and trust and safety as part of it. Very critical, especially when you think of what can go wrong. But I look at it down a little bit further and more into how are we evolving workflows with autonomy? If I can prompt a change into a project management solution, if I can go into my chat ops platform and draft a message and then push that through my AI interface, and I've been able to send it to everyone on the team, as opposed to I've definitely yelled at every person in the company for, did you do training? That's a lot more seamless. There's a lot of upside. For software engineers, models have gotten so good that I think we're past the place of augmented engineering, and some engineers are fully augmented. Not just halfway, but they're fully into the idea of that human in the loop. If you're AI native from the start is very different than you have this huge application that is not AI ready, and now you're trying to generate code on top of it. Building that part into the next chapter of every company is really the transformation. The incumbent startups with 5 to 10 people, you have an ability to just accelerate quickly, to whereas if you got this great code base with hundreds, thousands, millions of customers, that change doesn't just start by slapping AI on. You have to understand how you're educating your company and all the people along for that journey. Again, when people say AI is taking our jobs, I think there's some truth, but it's more people that have learned how to weaponize or use AI in their workflow. They're the ones that are going to accelerate their own careers in this part.
So you're of the stance that it's going to definitely be an efficiency optimization, and it's not going to replace jobs necessarily as much as it's going to repurpose jobs.
I think certain jobs are definitely done.
Yeah.
I don't feel great about how some of the early models were created by scraping the internet, even though people said, please don't take my content. So there's definitely certain providers out there that have overstepped the boundaries. And so I think for artists specifically, this has been a really tough go. If I have a certain style and a model that's just consumed that, well, my special sauce is gone. Yes, I can still create it, but you can generate it. Was anyone stopping them from just looking at their art and replicating it? No, but giving anyone else the power to just say, I would like to make a picture in this style.
Yeah.
And I think Ghibli is a really good example for anime and Japanese culture, where people are going like, this was really cool, and you saw the wave and the viral effect. Is that good for brand recognition? Maybe. But is it bad for artists? Absolutely. He just gave it to me and said, you figure this out. And that probably was the actual moment everything changed for me with technology. So I was born in New York, raised in Japan, and then my teenage years were in Pennsylvania. And that was my dad's last stint in the Air Force, where he was recruiting at Penn State University, which I ultimately went to for my undergrad. I knew I did not want to stay in Pennsylvania, so I ended up in Philly for about 4 years. I went from consulting to JP Morgan Chase. And after that journey, ended up in Richmond, Virginia for about 5 years with Capital One. And it was awesome. I learned so much about myself, about leadership, about being part of the bigger team and not just an army of one. A couple of inspirational figures there. Brian Orm, who's now at GuidePoint Security, just an amazing leader, gave me an opportunity and I took it and ran with it. And then Sydney Klein, who's currently CISO at Bristol Myers Squibb, she showed me the value of caring for people and building teams, and she still continues to inspire me.
So what is the security origin story? Did you always know you wanted to enter into security?
I think I'm a little bit different because my undergrad was in information security. And so at Penn State University, they eliminated the management of information systems degree, and they brought out this one called information science and technology with a focus on security. And I was able to get right into that. I was third class through. I will be honest, I had no idea what that meant or what was going to translate into. Most people were just consultants. We didn't get paid all that much. It was kind of confusing and scary. What I observed most people doing was going right into IT. I did not want to do that because I was able to do it without a degree. I took that and I jumped right into consulting. But the actualization for security, I think it started much younger, like when I was a teenager, as a kid, able to gain access to websites, but accessing websites back in the day was mostly just a static password. But it was just fun to be a kid and learn how the internet worked and work on computers. And my foundational moment probably started at the age of 70 with a Commodore 64. My dad purchased that. He didn't want to use it. He just gave it to me and said, "You figure this out." And that probably was the actual moment everything changed for me with technology.
Amazing. So for those that are watching, this is kind of slowly cooking down, constantly adding a little bit of chicken stock. Not too much. You don't want it to be a soup. So this is going to steam at some point for like 20-25 minutes. Then we're going to reduce it.
I'm going to make the rice now, if that's okay, and do my order of operations a little similar. Grab this.
And this is a big debate. To wash the rice, not wash
It's not a debate. It's not a debate. There's nothing to discuss. You must wash your rice. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think a lot of people we're replacing all these humans with AI, and then they swap out their customer success or support team, and everyone's like, this is terrible. The customers are revolting. They want to talk to a person. And so while I think that enthusiasm and excitement is good, sometimes it's not well thought out, like any new technology shift. The big part that I really appreciate about joining Webflow is it's about bringing folks along for the journey. And so that enablement factor of having people get learnings, access to tools, but just giving people tools without any guidance, I think you end up in a really weird place where it's like, why aren't they using more AI?
I can speak pretty clearly around why we use Webflow. It's being able to iterate quickly. I think as a marketer, as a business owner, you're not always going to get the message right. You need to update things very quickly. We had a website that was custom developed, and every change was a 3, 4, 5 day cycle in some cases. Now giving tools to business leaders who can do that much quicker. We could go from shooting this episode to uploading the recipe and the link within an hour. It's pretty amazing what we can do.
I think iteration velocity is so critical in this world.
So on one end, speed is obviously the value, but because the customers value speed, it makes your job pretty hard, which is you're securing the digital infrastructure for millions of websites. How do you think about that responsibility?
Security doesn't just start or stop with the security team. And so if you have the right culture and the right folks with you, it allows for that acceleration to happen a little bit more effectively. If there's an idea to just go fast and not care about the experience or not care about if we protected it correctly, then you're probably going to feel the burn very quickly. But I think with infrastructure as code, websites are mostly static. There are scripts that are quite dynamic. A script is reaching to a third-party platform. There is a trust within the supply chain that you still have to figure out. We can't do that for you, right? But if it's native on the platform, a lot of those things end up as static assets. I think it's the harder part of ensuring that your entire attack surface and all those third parties and everything that you've jammed into Salesforce that's connecting to get your data over, is that still good? As a security team, we need time. I get it, but we can operate faster. There are tools that make risk assessments go faster, smoother. And so the big quote that always kind of rattles in my brain, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so when you think about the teams that you're working with, you got to be engaged. And so if the security team is getting left often, it's tough. And so I think as long as people are there for the conversation, for the planning, for the prep, and execution, things go a lot smoother. And that way, those unspoken expectations or lack of understanding get addressed because you have the experts to say, here's what we're trying to do. Most people just need context. And if you give them the right context, they can make an informed decision. But if you just give them the slop of risk assessments and they can't discern, does it matter? Your job is to navigate conflict. If you're a change enabler and you're a risk manager, you have to understand what are the trade-offs. I look back at certain marketing relationships that I've had where it's, hey, there are 20 risks. And they're going, Ty, I don't actually care. Can I use them or not? And when I go, oh, you can use them, but we're probably going to get compromised unless we do all of this pre-work, or you can probably use these two other platforms that you looked at. When you explore those options together to say, here's what we're looking at. You have path A, where we're probably going to have some pain. Path B, we've been there, we've done that. We know how it works. At the end of the day, you're going to be able to accelerate faster.
You talk about building a security culture. How do you build a security culture?
I've had the journey of continually building it until exhaustion, failure, and leaving. I think it takes a certain amount of grit. It doesn't happen in 1 year. It's like 3 to 4 years. You really need to be in there. And so I think sustainable change is a really big part. Do people care and really want to commit to what the mission is, or are they there just to knock off the paycheck and keep it going? How do you bring folks with you for that journey and you allow people to fulfill their goals? But that culture, that's all about the business. Is the business winning? Or did security say no to 3 things and we couldn't get that ARR and the money in our bank because security wouldn't let us use this vendor, or we couldn't engage with this third party that would have allowed us to go market to these 3,000 other people that would become qualified leads? And so I think you have to really understand the language of the business to enable it.
How do you spot signal that's, we're moving in the right direction?
One of the best things you can do is understand your network. If you want to go far, you got to find that network of people. You got to support them. And so I think recognition and an attitude of gratitude allows for that to really occur. And so I always do security champions. Every quarter or annually, I like to call out the people that are fixing the most bugs, thinking most thoughtfully of how we get to resiliency, handling the most amount of incidents that makes everyone's lives better, because those are the unsung heroes. No one's typically going in and saying on your performance review, you fixed 120 vulnerabilities. It's not that. It's how many features did you ship? And so if you can connect that for that person, for their manager and their VP and the CTO and the CEO, and they go, oh, this person gets security, maybe they carry that into their next company, and security is just trickling all throughout a little bit more effectively.
I feel like there's a theme here. It's speed. The business not seeing you as a blocker. Security didn't prevent this tool from being bought or integrated. And if you do that successfully, you're an enabler, and the organization understands how security is adopted. Is that what success looks like?
Did we lose power? I think we lost power. My burner's down. What just happened?
An event, an incident, we don't know. Everything just went off.
We totally had an incident.
We got power back on. Thank you to our amazing team who
Good job, Bill.
knows how to turn a circuit breaker back on. So that's great. How do you think about incident response, resilience?
So first thing is you got to detect it. And it was very clear that our burners were off and nothing was cooking. And then this half of the room was down. The big thing, I think, as a security person is you can't panic. And so for me, it's always been a superpower of being like, yeah, if these things are happening, fantastic. Let's work through them.
Honestly, you need strong leadership in the kitchen.
What's great is we were able to make assignments, and y'all didn't see the magic of the camera work, but I now have onions in here. And so Ben was able to cut them and stay focused on that. That's actually what you do in incident response. You say, who's doing what? Give assignments, make sure everything's cool, and just keep it rolling. All right, so I'm adding bone broth. Some people just use water. I match the protein to the broth. There's no measuring in this game here. This is all feelings and vibes. I think you can always look at the box if you want the guidance. I think the magic comes at the end when you understand the thickness and the viscosity of the curry. I like it because it actually holds the heat in better and makes the potatoes like little mashed potato ball explosions in your mouth, and it's delicious. But we're just gonna bring this up to a boil. And once it's at a boil, I'm gonna add the rest of those vegetables, which is a potato and some carrots, the rest of my garlic that's just hanging out. And then after that, bring it up for 5-7 minutes, and then we just let it cool, hang out, and then we add the roux.
So we're going to take a risk. We're going to try the burners again because we can't be shipping like this. So talk about what is acceptable risk
I think at a top level, what will end the business, like today, what will end our show? If we lost electricity everywhere, that would probably end our ability to cook any of these meals or make it all the way through to cooking the chicken. And I wouldn't eat the chicken if it were raw. I think that's the thing. What is the actual impact and likelihood of bad things happening as a result of that decision? All right, so I'm up to a boil now. Bone broth is looking lovely. I'm just dropping in potatoes, dropping in my carrots. And here's the magic of curry once again. Any vegetable that you want to put in there, it's not wrong. It may not be right, but you can add whatever you want. I've added spinach, I've added mushrooms. One time I added spinach and then I FaceTimed my grandmother and she said, "What the heck is that?" And I was embarrassed, so I stopped adding spinach because I actually took her feedback that day.
The customer doesn't know what they need. And I think that's a terrible philosophy in security.
I don't know if we want to go to the advisory investor stuff, but it has been a nuance that I think has added a lot of value into the way I actually do my job as a CISO. And so by working with founders, not so much advisory, investment work, where you're backing an investor, and I like pre-seed, seed, which means like before the idea is cooked, before there's a product, right? When it's just usually like 2 to 3 people gone, we have an idea. It's the most exciting thing to understand what is the opportunity, what is the total achievable market. And I think one of the things that's always important to me is, do they actually understand the pain or are they just chasing a dollar?
What are some of the signs that they're just chasing a dollar? They're not really deeply entrenched in the problem or your experience.
Typically founders that have a thesis that will not take feedback, and especially if they haven't done the job or didn't create a product, they really need that inspiration to understand the problem statement to go and solve for it effectively. Do you actually know what we're talking about? Or are you just saying, AI security, we're going to solve it all, we're going to see everything and it's all good and you can trust us, we got that. Oh, you have other ideas? We got that too. I like when someone says, you know what, we're not focused there. I'll give you a little secret. The best founders, once they actually have a product, Series A, Series B, when they're at a point that they know it's good and it works, but it doesn't work for everyone. If they just say, here's what it is, go give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, no worries. It's such a rare attribute of founders to have that. You say there are ripe customers and there are customers that aren't going to work. And if you keep chasing the ones that don't work and trying to get all those features, get all those promises, you're going to stray from what you do. And so I think those founders that are convicted based on the passion and understanding are going to create a fantastic product.
Steve Jobs has that like viewpoint, the customer doesn't know what they need. And I think that's a terrible philosophy in security. Or do you think there's any basis there?
He definitely knew what we needed. And if you think about little touches along the way of how Apple changed the world, think about how we're all comfortable with biometrics now. It's not just this, it became this. And if I asked you if you would have been comfortable scanning your face to unlock your phone 12 years ago, you've probably been like, that sounds interesting. I thought we were still just doing the thumb thing. And before that, it was a PIN code. And before that, there was nothing. We are about to enter the roux stage, but I just need probably 3-4 more minutes because I'm a little bit nervous about these potatoes. Quick thing about ingredients. You could choose any potato, but I think Yukon Gold is probably the best one. You can get a russet. It'll be a little bit tougher, but the Yukon Gold breaks down a little bit nicer and gets into this flavor profile that, again, if you use a certain roux, it'll feel like a mashed potato, but for the most part, you should feel the shake of the potato, but it shouldn't be raw. The carrot and the potato, for me, they want to be mushy. Chewing is overrated.
It's trust. It's trust from people who've done the work, who've seen it work. So you were talking a lot about startups, building technology that solves a real problem, not just chasing the money. Any other kind of tidbits you want to share around like what success in early innovation looks like?
I think success is really around product adoption. When you find something that gives you a sense of confidence and you know you've solved a risk that was a real pain point, or you have no visibility and now you actually have the telemetry to make informed decisions, well, that trusted network of friends and peers that literally says, hey, we solved that this way and it took us 2 weeks. And I go, can I get a phone number? I really appreciate that. I've seen the evolution of security used to be closed doors, not open, everything's confidential, and we can't share it. I think that's one of the pieces of magic is you have free marketing and you have all of these people that get it. And if they see that you've solved the problem, they will be your best network and salespeople.
It's trust. It's trust from people who've done the work, who's seen it work, because it's very hard to cut through the noise. When I was at Gartner, and nobody buys anything without talking to a Gartner analyst, and then you talk to security leaders, and they're like, I talk to my peers, because I want to know who's actually used the tool, who's implemented it. I think startup and innovation is a constant evolution. But for us, we built an advisory board, and Rick Doughton and Sue Bergamo and folks who have hosted the show, they were our first advisors. So it was about finding a problem that we felt like was valuable. And that problem at that time, 3.5 years ago, was information sharing. So it was like the bad guys are sharing, the good guys aren't sharing. We need to share. Could we build technology where we are not the single source of truth? Our security leaders doing the jobs are the truth. A lot of the companies that share threat reports and break down how things are done, that's the types of content being shared in our platform because it's valuable, it's tangible, it's real.
It's pretty rare, and I've also made this delicious curry, and I feel like I'm ready to serve it. All right, I got some rice. I'm going in for the scoop. And the magic of this, it's congealed. It's going to coat the mouth and make sure that you really enjoy it. There's one last touch. The thing you can add is a thing called fukujinzuke. Some people want to just change the flavor. You can use this product, which is ultimately like pickled radish. Hey, you have any sayings before you eat? I have one.
I'd love to hear it. What is it?
Itadakimasu, which means bon appetit in Japanese.
Itakarimasu.
Itadakimasu. Let's do it.
Whoa. It was delicious. It's really, really good.
I'm glad to hear that. And I've heard that before. We'll call it a success.
Ty, thank you so much for joining us. This was a real pleasure. We are really excited about the future of the show, and we're going to give everyone really a unique window into what it's like to be a CISO, what it's like to be a technology vendor. To everyone watching, thanks for joining. We hope you'll join us for another episode.